All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the Monday sales call. We have a good friend of ours, a literally family member, I guess you could say. For those of you that don't know the story, it is Janelle's cousin. I was literally at home when we moved to Vegas. We were at our, my sister-in-law's house, and for some reason, Janelle turned on Facebook Live on our TV, and it was when Sean was doing these Facebook Lives, and Janelle's sister goes, "What's Harold doing on TV?" And we're like, Harold, who's Harold? Why do you know who? Like, that's an FFL video. She's like, no, that's our cousin. And I was like, dang, recruit everybody you know, because if not, they'll end up on somebody else's team. Um, but I'm excited to be able to have Harold on. He's one of the most genuine guys I've talked to in this business. We actually talk a lot more than people actually know because one of the few things is, when you have people that can, I always say when people ask for advice, the best thing you can do is actually do what they say. You know what I mean? And Harold's one of the best at that. And I'm very grateful to be able to have access to him and ask him for help in a lot of ways too. He's done something few people have done in this business. A lot of people that write a lot of business, $1 million a year, most of the people, actually all of them, everyone that has written $1 million by themselves, none of them have big teams. None of them. You know why? Because they have no idea how to teach it. They're very egotistically driven. Harold's not that guy. Harold's the only guy that I know that although he writes 1 million a year, his team is doing 1 million a month and more. And so to be able to have him on our call today, it's a blessing to be able to have him, share with us what they're doing. I'm excited for that. And he's fully transparent, guys. Like there is no gatekeeping. There's no keeping everything behind closed doors. Like we're going to share and we're going to talk. So Harold, I appreciate you for hopping on. Two-time
Absolutely.
$1 million a year producer, Hall of Fame agency obviously is on the way too. I appreciate you for hopping on, man. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by. For those that don't know your story, because we have a lot of new agents on this call as well. This might be the first time they're listening to you. Can you give
Cool.
them your quick 30-second background, man? Where you came from, how long you've been in insurance, why you even chose insurance of all things? You know
hmm
what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in insurance for a long time. I actually started in insurance in '09.
Wow.
Okay. When we were knocking on doors, doing paper applications, collecting actual checks, physical checks, writing checks out,
You're a
ma
debit
and
agent?
mailing it to the home office. So that's how I started in insurance. So I actually didn't even choose insurance. It just fell in my lap. I was 21. I mean, I didn't know any better anyways. I was like, whatever. This is gonna make me money. Cool, I'll do it. That's what it was. So somebody just introduced it to me. It was like, hey, you can come over here and make more money. It's better than cell phones. I was like, all
That's
right, whatever, I'll try it. So I started off with the captive company, was there for a very long time actually. I did 12 years there. And the thing is too is this, I know a lot of people are like, oh, 12 years, 12 years, you have all the experience in the world. No, I went directly into here and fell straight on my face and thought that my experience was going to carry me. Absolute lie. There, that's exactly what I thought. Walked in with an ego. I know what I'm doing. Nope, fell on my face. So yeah, I mean that's what it was. It was there. They gave us leads, and then the leads started to get ugly, and then uglier, and then uglier, and then it was just a recycling every single week. It was literally shuffling left to right every week. It was like, all right, you need leads. All right, here you go. You take mine. All right, let me get yours.
This is at your other place,
Yeah,
at
it
your
was.
practice company. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
yeah.
And so, you know, when you came here and you said you transitioned and it kind of was like you thought your 12 years of experience was going to give you a leg up. I hear it all the time with agents that come here. They go, I'm experienced, man. I know what I'm doing. I'm like, no, you don't, because if you were killing, you wouldn't be here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like, can you speak on like for folks that have a background in sales, they might have been doing other types of sales, real estate, car sales, solar, whatever it is. Just because you sell, like what we do is a little bit different. You possess
hmm
the skill, don't get me wrong, but our processes are a lot different than what you're used to. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I mean, just to put it simple, this is not that. It's not the same. I was at an I was at another life insurance company, right? And then going into life insurance again, I'm thinking like, okay, it's the same. There's no difference except for more carriers. No, it's completely wrong. The conversation is completely different. The way we interact with clients, completely different. I was used to doing, well, I went from in person to doing it on Zoom. And then coming over here, I did do the Zoom for like the first week. And then after that, I was like, all right, cool. I could do it over the phone. Cool. Went to the phone. But the conversation is different. It's not the same. So this isn't that. Yes, you use techniques to a certain extent, but the thing is that people take there's there's a difference. we always use this on our team. There's two different things that you are as an insurance agent. You're either an insurance peddler or you're an advisor. You need to pick one. This is not the place for to be a peddler. Go somewhere else for that. There's plenty of places
Explain
that'll
that for
make you a
people because
peddler.
they don't understand that, but that was deep.
Yeah. Where you're a peddler, you're just pushing whatever you can and don't really care. Like, I don't care about the price, don't care about the product really, and you're just like, whatever, it's good enough. You got that one size fits all style where it's like, yeah, everybody can get this. It's all good. Let's just push everybody over here instead of advising and trying to figure out what is best for the client and then putting him in the right product. Right. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm not chasing comp. I'm chasing what's best for the client. The comp will come. Who cares? It'll be fine. But if I chase what's best for the client, I don't have to worry about cancellation. I don't have to worry about things like that. I can sleep good at night.
Right.
I'll feel good. So I'm not peddling. I'm not just trying to press on something just because that's what gets me paid. I don't have to do that. So huge difference. And it takes a lot of time for a lot of brand new agents. Well, not necessarily brand new agents, people coming from other, insurance companies because or IMOs or whatnot. If you're used to being a peddler and just pushing whatever product you have, one size fits all, you're peddling. You're just, look what I got in here. Here's what you're getting. Right? That's not it. That's not this, right? You know what I mean? It's not the same. You're here to be you advise the client. When you advise the client, everything works out. You advise the client, you can call them back anytime you want. The clients will call you. You don't have to worry about cancellation. And I'm sure when you're a peddler, when you're an insurance peddler, the client calls you, you're looking at your phone and you're like, oh God, do I answer this or not? You're like, I don't know. They're gonna cancel. Is that not a terrible feeling? That's a
Yeah.
terrible feeling. That you're sitting there looking at your phone like, do I answer this or what? You should be like, cool, man, answer this. Hey, Steven, what's going on? That's what you want because you know you did the best for the client, not just peddling, trying to push or hoping they don't cancel. Like, if I don't answer, they can't cancel.
That's so funny.
It's
It's yeah,
terrible.
they just call the carrier instead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, anyways, I love that. Hey, so diving into that, like, so you said something. All right, you went face to face, you went to Zoom for a little bit, and then now you're strictly over the phone. When
Yep.
you went on the phone, there's obviously a learning curve, right?
Yes.
That you had to go through, whether it's establishing credibility, whether it's being able to ask for banking, social, and all that stuff. What were some of those hurdles, and how did you get over them very quickly?
Oh yeah, I found out real quick. You get the who are you? Why am I talking to you? I don't trust you. You get the banking, you get hit on the social, you get on every single thing, right? All the different rebuttals, you're gonna get them. But the thing is the way I like to do things is like I want to address it before they address it. Because if I address it first, it's not me reacting
Right,
or responding to their rebuttal. It's much easier when I already gave them the answer,
right,
right? For example, credibility. In the beginning, it's like I'm going to tell them why I'm calling who I am, but then I'm also going to send them my agent page. I'm going to send them a website that has my picture, has my spouse, my kid's picture. So I send them this, hey, I'm going to go ahead and send you a link. This right here, go ahead and click that link. For compliance reasons, I have to be able to identify myself to you properly. You see that I've completed a federal background check that allows me to go over this information with you. Go ahead and click that link. They click the link. Boom, there's a picture of me, my kids, and my spouse and everything. Okay, as you can see, Steven, I'm the pretty one in there. My photo, I have long hair. So like I have the pretty one, ha 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 ha. And then I go, okay, and like I have cute kids. I know they look like me, right? And they're like, no, they look like your wife. I'm like, oh man, you trying to say I'm ugly? Ah, okay. Like, all right. I mean, it's probably better that way that they look like her anyways. It's fine. But my ice is completely broken, and that's like the first 1 minute of my call.
right.
Boom, I already have my ice broken. They know I'm a regular person. I'm a family man. They know I'm real. I'm not like some random voice on the phone, right? So they can
Talk
see all
about
that.
talk about how, because this is what other people don't know. Like your icebreaker is your icebreaker.
Yep.
And like, let's be real, you do that on every call. It's the
The
same
same thing.
joke, same punchline, same delivery every time,
Yep.
right? And that's what people are like, well, I don't have one. Don't copy his. Just
Yeah.
make your own. And you're gonna find
Yeah.
it. Like I remember when I was in face to face, I would always, I was one of the few Asians that was selling insurance. Like when I knock on your door and you open it, I'd be like, hey, you want me to take my shoes off? Because if
Yeah.
I'm at my own house, my mom's gonna smack me upside the head. Like, right. So like, and they would be like, oh no, you're good. But it was like it was my one way to bring that guard down. Right. And
Yeah.
so you're doing it that way, going, you're making fun of yourself, right? And you're basically, showing them your credentials while you're doing it. So barriers are down, trust is high. Now they're going to listen to you. Before we dive into your script and stuff, because I know a lot of people want to hear it, because you know, Harold, the other thing is everybody thinks what you're doing is magical. They do because they go, oh, he sells $1 million a year. There's only four of them in the entire company. He's special. And I'm like, dude, it's two things. It's leads and appointments. Like, it's not
Yeah.
much deeper than that. He works harder than you. He has a lot more appointments than you, and he's better at closing than you, right? Matter of fact, I'm going to tell that story. And during convention, we had two of our younger agents came up to you, and they were talking to me, and they're like, I was like, dude, you don't understand. Like, Harold runs final expense and mortgage protection. Matter of fact, he runs age, like 2-year-old mortgage protection. They're like, no,
Oh
hell
yeah.
no. There's no way. I'm like, bro, why would I lie to you? Right. And so they walked over to you and I left and they were talking to you. And then when I saw them the next day, they were like, hey, Harold says that I have a closing issue. And I was like, Harold sells $1 million a year. He's probably correct. And what was fascinating though, bro, and I say this, and this is mad credit to the agent that did it. He called me on Monday last week. He said, hey, I got a no sale. I'm going to send you my call. And I listened to it, the whole call. I wrote like almost 10 things down. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is why he's not like, by the way, he's a 25K a month producer, but he can get to 50 on the same appointments. He can get to 50, right? And so we went over it and he was like, man, no one's ever told me that, man. And we were just talking about the Harold. You're like, how many people on your team actually send you calls? Because on our team, the answer is he was the first. But I
All
make
the
that offer
time.
to everybody.
All the time. And I listen. And I like will do it in between and I'll jump in and I'm like, yo, don't ever say that again. Yo, why are you doing that? Yo, stop doing that. Stop saying that. Why are you adding that? Like just simple words like, what do you think is gonna be best for you? Okay, yeah, you're right, Steve. I should think about it. Somebody kept telling me like I keep getting think about it. I'm like, well, you keep asking them which one do they think is
Right,
gonna be best for them. So obviously they're gonna say, I need to think about it,
right.
right? So just little words, small words can change the entire meaning of whatever you're trying to say. And people don't catch it, right? Also, too, is how come everybody does it. I still do it. Um, uh, uh, right? You do a lot of those. And the thing is you don't catch it, but everybody else will.
Yeah.
Everybody always will tell you, yo, why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep doing that? Or my favorite is this, Steve. I did the greatest presentation ever. What do you mean? I'm best presentation. It's not me. I'm doing the presentation exactly how it's written. I'm doing it the right way every single time. It's the client. I'm like, okay, cool. So all 10 of these clients, they all called each other. They all know each other and they say, hey, yo, when Harold calls, make sure you say no. All right, guys? Cool. All right, on three break. All right, cool. I'm like, no, dude, you're the common denominator.
Right.
Like, dude, those guys, they're all different states. You're the common denominator. So there's something that you're doing that's messing up your presentation. But the thing is that it takes a third party to listen. Client has no idea what you're supposed to say. You know what you're supposed to say, but you don't know what you're changing and moving. So you know what? You need somebody to listen to you, because especially after a month, I love it when agents after, and I tell them all the time. I go, hey Steve, after 1 month, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna completely change the presentation because you wrote business. You're the greatest agent on the planet, so you're gonna completely change the presentation, and then you're gonna not gonna write business, and then you're gonna come to me and go, hey, I'm not writing business. Then we're gonna listen and we're gonna say, what presentation is that? So just so you know, this is the conversation we're gonna have in a month. I'm telling you right now, you could avoid this brick wall, but you can hit it if you want to. It's up to you. The
Right.
same exact presentation that got you to write, 5, 10, 15 policies in a week, you're going to change it. I promise you. And you're gonna be so confused instead of why don't you just stick to that and then scale it?
You know what's
Makes more
crazy
sense.
too, bro? I kid you not. Too much training hurts people too.
Yes.
See, like you laugh and everybody's like, what are you talking about? Bro, if you got it down, like I had a guy, no BS. He was selling 30, 40 grand a month. He's a Hall of Fame producer. And then what happened was he would listen to training calls and be like, oh, that was good. I'm gonna take that. Oh, that was good. I'm gonna take that. And then he would add it. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, a month from now, bro, it's not even his presentation that
Yeah.
got him the Hall of Fame. And I'm like, bro, it worked. Why change it? You might tweak, add a little bit, but like to basically change your entire presentation, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the amount of people that do that, there's a lot. There's a lot, right? So I love that you say that. And here's the other thing. You said get advice from third party. Hey, make sure that third party is someone that's a Hall of Fame producer at least. Because why would you ask anybody that doesn't sell insurance? to listen to your insurance presentation. Like that's just not smart, right? So I want to dive into a little bit more. You go into telesales, everybody argues, they make this thing about like, oh, telesales persistency is not as good and blah, 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 blah. We know that data is not true. Just so I can hear it from you and for everybody on the call, what's your persistency? When you write business, how much actually sticks on the books? I know you're good, but like, what is that number for
Like
everybody?
80 something percent. I just saw, I was just looking at it the other day. It's like 80 something percent.
Yeah.
The thing is persistency is bad when you're not doing the right thing. When you don't do the right thing with the client, of course your persistency is bad. If you don't call back your clients, your persistency is bad. If you don't answer the phone when the client calls you, your persistency is bad. If you're not saving every single client's phone number, every single time a client calls me, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go, "Hey Steve," or "Hey whatever, whatever the name is." Because then they're like, "Oh dang, this
He
guy
remembers
actually
me.
he remembers me.
Yep.
How's it going? What's going on? What can I do for you?" And I also have my notes, and I can also pull it up and be like, "Oh, how's Janelle doing? She all right? She good? How the kids? Everybody good?" I have it on my notes. I can search it, look through my search everything and be able to pull it up straight up.
Right.
So that's where persistency goes bad if you're not doing the right thing for the client. And ultimately, the big thing with persistency has to do with affordability because that's always the number one reason why
Yep.
people cancel. It's affordability. So when I talk to a lot of agents, I ask them like, okay, what affordability questions do you ask them? Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you like? How do you determine how much premium you're going to be using to create a plan? And they're like, I don't know. I mean, their income. I'm like, what? Yes, you still need another income, but just because somebody makes $20,000 a month doesn't mean they could afford $1,000 or 500, even 500, or even $200. You don't even know because they might make 20 grand, but then their expenses are 19,
Right.
right? So you got to be able to understand that. And that's why people cancel because it's too expensive. If you take their income and you take their expenses and whatever's left over, create a plan based on that. My rule is always 10 to 15%, 15, maybe 17% at the top. There's $1,000 left over, 150 bucks, that's it. Because if something does happen, I always say this, if you had a flat tire or some unforeseen expense happens, I don't want this to be the first thing you cancel. But if you have $1,000 left over and this is 500 of it, and they get a flat tire and the
Yep.
tire is 250 bucks, they're looking at that policy and they're like, all right, I guess that's gone. That's my tires. Sorry. But 150 bucks is not, they're gonna be like, that's not even a tire, so there's no point. I'm not canceling
Right.
that. So that's why it's important to do affordability questions. And I'd rather them get a lower plan anyways. When somebody's like, okay, do you push the top plan? Never. I tell them nobody gets it anyways. That's always what I tell them. When they give me hesitation, I'm like, nobody ever does option one. Like,
Hey,
what do
hey,
you mean?
jot that down in your notes for those of you that are taking
Yeah.
notes. The
Because,
number
you
one,
know,
$1 million a year producer basically just said he doesn't push the number one plan. So I don't know why we do.
no. Because I go top down, right? So I go with the highest and then I work my way down, right? So everybody says, why top down? Well, if you go bottom up, when it gets more expensive, they're not going to listen anymore. Why would you? I'm like, oh, whoa, that's more expensive. All right, never mind. But when it goes from the top, they get the sticker shock. They go, oh, it's top, and then they go down one and like, oh, it's less expensive, and then one more, oh, it's less expensive. Okay, cool. They're still listening because it goes lower in price, and they're listening. But then I go, nobody does option one
I
when
love
the
it.
hesitation happens. Obviously, it's still in the budget, but if they give me some type of hesitation, then I'm removing option one. I'm taking it out because sales 101 says what? Get the most expensive, right? When you talk to a salesperson, they want you to get the most expensive. I'm not a peddler, I'm an advisor. Two different things.
I love it. So persistency is strong, 80 some percent. I just looked at our persistency through our downline and it was 87% persistency,
Mhm.
considering that like 95% of our agents are doing telesales too. So it's strong. Like our
Yeah.
persistency is strong as it's ever been. And that's why I always tell people like if you're struggling with persistency, let's make it very clear. You're struggling, not the company. Not everybody is struggling with this. You're struggling with this, right? Um, Talk about the lead types you run. You have different types of blends. Obviously, there's a lot of people pushing one type of lead or the other. What is your group, the Illuminate group? What are you guys running?
We still run a ton of mortgage protection aged. So for the people who want to know, it's
Come
still
on, did you hear
aged.
that?
I'm still doing it. I'm not going to let it go because that was bread and butter. Like I said earlier, if it works, why would I change it? If it made me $1 million, why would I go, you know what? Let's reinvent. Like, nah, like that makes sense, you know? And we are doing a lot of FEX. So it was funny because I had this conversation with somebody I mentioned, they were like, what'd you change from 23 to 24? I was like, nothing. I just spent more. What do you mean? I was like, if it made me a million, why would I change it? That don't make sense. Like, I'm just gonna spend more so I can do more. Duh.
Right.
Why change it? So yeah.
So let's go over your script. Let's say I'm an FE lead, right? Because we have a lot of agents that are running FE lead. I believe it's the easiest sale.
hmm
Let's go here. You have a brand new agent that gets started, right? Like, what are you asking that agent to run? Your
Mortgage protection and FEX, either one. I
got
have
it.
everybody learns everything. Okay, you have to learn everything because you can't be a one-sided agent. You have to be versatile. That's very important. Very, very, very important. Also, too, as a manager, you're gonna get an agent who's like, I don't like mortgage. And you're like, whoa, okay. Well, what do you want to do? I want to do final expense. Then you're also gonna get somebody who's like, I want to do final expense. Then all of a sudden they go, nah, I don't even like this. I need to go mortgage. Right? So you have to be versatile. If you can't teach both, you can't manage, you're gonna have a hard time. So everybody learns both, period. Right? There's no option to be like, oh, just one-sided. It's like I have people who even come in and like, oh, I've always done FEX. I was at a different company. I've only done FEX. I'm like, great, you're still learning mortgage. Yeah, but I only want to do FEX. That's great. You're still gonna learn mortgage though. That's not like you still got to be able to do both. And you ask him, do you want to be a versatile agent or a one-sided agent? What if you can't get any FEX leads? What do you do?
Right.
What if you can't get mortgage leads? What do you do? You got
Right.
to be able to go back and forth.
See, that's what I always tell agents. I'm like, learn it all because you don't know which one you're gonna like. And for the
Uh-huh.
managers that push only one lead type to their entire downline, I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Because like Andrew Taylor has the largest agency in the entire FFL company, right? And then you go, hey Drew, what does this group run? It's all different. They're all different. Some groups run IUL, some people run FE mortgage, some people do a blend of all three, some people do two of the three. Like the answer is we just write insurance. How about that?
Yep.
Whatever's best
Dom,
for the client,
Dom said
right?
it best. Sell everything.
Sell everything.
Yeah.
Facts. So let's dive into it. Let's say, oh, I'm gonna press you on another question. Um, you sell, bro, because I'm not gonna hide.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what I mean? Like
good.
people always go like, "Well, what's the schedule look like for $1 million a year producer?" I'm like, dude, I know what it is, but let's give it for everybody else. How many appointments do you run in a week? Do you call those appointments yourself? How do you set them? All that good stuff. And tell the truth, by the way. I don't care if you
Great
tell.
question. Great question. Every day is usually like 15 to maybe 18 appointments. Some days because I have dialers, I have a CRM, so they operate all of that. I'm not dialing anymore. It doesn't make sense. So at a certain point, obviously, you need to get a dialer, okay? Because
What's
the
that for?
dialer, um, the thing is this. Here's the best way to understand this. Are you worth 10 or $15 an hour? That's a reality. Is your time worth 10 or $15 an hour? If not, then you need a dialer. In the beginning, you either have time or money, right? So in the beginning, yes, time. Spend the time. After that, you start writing business, 15, maybe 20 policies a week. Cool, dude. Now your time is starting to get more expensive. For you to have your hourly rate is a lot more expensive. So guess what? You need to move into a dialer who will change your schedule around and make your time even more valuable. Because they just add more appointments. Because there's some days you only have like a couple of maybe five or six, but then at the end of the day you did 12 presentations. Happens all the time.
So you wake up to 15 or 18 appointments a week.
Some a
I
day.
mean, a day. I'm sorry.
Sometimes it's less, and like I said, it gets filled up. You know, but at a certain like for me, I have six people on staff. So they do all different things, calling, CRM, back end work, stuff like that. But it takes a full staff to run.
Are you 5 days a week or 6 days on the phone?
5.5 or until I get in trouble with my wife.
All right. So let's call it 5 days. Five a
Yeah,
day, 5 days a
yeah,
week. You're running 15 on the low end, 18 on the high end. So it's
yeah,
about 75 appointments. People go, oh my gosh, how does he sell so much insurance? Bro, y'all run 12. He runs freaking 75. That's how he
yeah,
outsells you. It's bad.
yeah. It's
Not that
funny.
deep.
It's funny because people will be like, "Yo," like I have some people will like be like, "Can I fly out and just chill at your house?" I'm like, "All right, whatever, dude." So like I have like an agent here, two agents, they'll come and I'm like, "Hey, look, I'm just gonna let you know right now in advance that the only thing that you're going to learn from me is that you're lazy." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "No, you're lazy." And they're like, well, what do you mean? I work and da da da. And I was like, no, you're lazy. And then they'll see they're like trying to ask me questions. I'm like, yo, stop. I was like, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. It's funny because people are like, yo, I can't even ask him a question and I'm next to him. I'm like, yeah, I don't stop. And then it's funny when people hear it because then my wife will come downstairs and go, yo, it's like 3 o'clock. Like, are you like gonna get lunch with like this dude probably starving to death next to you? And I'm like, I think he's an adult. I'm pretty sure. You have DoorDash. All right, you're good, dude. I don't have time for that, but you can. I don't. Whatever you want to do, man. Or she'll be like, all right, I'll order food, and I'm like, all right, dude, do whatever. I don't care. But that's how I operate. I operate like a machine. I do the same thing over and over and over again, but I'm a machine. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Unfortunately, you have to do things you don't want to do. I'm tired. Cool. I don't want to work this hard either. I get it. Like I wake up early, drop off the kids to school. It's cold in the morning. I hate going outside in the cold. I do it. This is what I do. Then I get back, I get on my computer, and that's it. Locked in. Then it's like when somebody calls me, hey, you want to go have lunch? No. Hey, you want to go? No. No is the answer, most likely. Whatever it is, it's probably no. And you go through priorities based on time sensitive. So you protect your schedule. This is the hardest thing to do for most is protect your schedule. Period. Okay. If you are that's why earlier when you called me, I was like, did I miss it? I was like, bro, I have you at 9. I have you at 10. There's no way I missed it. I live off my schedule. I protect it. Right. So I have two things. When somebody comes to me for something, for anything, there's two different things. It's either time sensitive or it's not. That's it. I look at it and go, time sensitive? Cool, let's do it now. If somebody's with a client and they need help and they're stuck, that's time sensitive. They're with the client. Hey, I have a question. How do you do this and how do you do that? Great, fantastic. I'll hit you. I got you on my schedule for 7 o'clock. You good with that? All right, cool. Period. See ya. We'll talk at 7. We'll talk at 8, whatever it is, at the end of my day. Like I'm not, why am I gonna sit with you and go through a training or something like that?
Middle
Like for
prime
like
hours.
30,
Sure.
45 minutes. That doesn't make any sense. Or
Absolutely.
like the conversation is like, oh, you can hear the complaining. You can hear they're like, okay, this is about to be a complaining conversation. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I already know this is not going to go the way that I want it to go. So you know what? You're not going to ruin my day. So let's do that at 8 when I don't care if you ruin my day. That's like, it's already past. It's already too late to ruin my day. So let's just do that later. But that's the thing, right? Protect your schedule. And also for the agents out there, it's like, yo, you got to understand that everybody's working too. Don't ruin somebody else's day on your account. Do it at the end of the day. You know?
Because what people don't understand is how much that affects your current mood to sell. Like if you
Hmm.
call me to complain at like 10:30 and I have an appointment at 11,
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to sell that client, and it sucks for that client because you called me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like for like that's why back then when I was in the field, it was so easy. Like I would just answer and be like, "You need something? You in the home? No? All right, hit you later." Like that was the only answer I would give is like, "Are you in the home? Are you with the client right now?" The answer is no. Cool. I'll talk to you later. Just like you said, hang up. I'm gonna go unless my wife called, right? So, but even then she knew like, don't call me unless it's 911. Like
Yeah.
if you're calling me to see how my day is, I'm like, I'll tell you later. But if you're calling me because our daughter needs to go to the ER, I need that. No, I need to know that, right?
Yeah.
So people don't understand that. They'll just feel calls because they feel busy, and busy and productive are not the same thing. You know what I mean? So I love that you do that. By the way, and by the way, for everybody that's on here going, oh my God, he works like crazy, dude. He also travels like crazy, and he eats like the best foods every time he travels. So like, you talk about work-life balance, that fool has it. He just knows
Yeah.
how to operate his schedule better than everybody else. That's the
Yeah.
difference. Like when he works, he's working, right? They say
Yeah.
be where your feet are. When he's working, he's working. So um, let's dive into it. Let's say, um, you're running 75 appointments a week. How many of them actually show up? Because obviously not everybody does. What are your numbers if you have 75 appointments on the
It's like
calendar?
50%. It's
So
like 50%.
37 people show up. If
Hmm.
37 people show up, how many you closing?
Like 75%.
Okay. So there are
Yeah.
people that go,
Easy.
my closing rate's 25% or 10% or 50%. How is yours so high?
It's presentation. I do the same thing over and over and over again. And the presentation, how it's written, is what's important. So I had somebody talk to me about their presentation, and they're like, hey, here's my presentation. I'm like, how long you been doing insurance? I don't know, like a couple of months. I'm like, all right, fantastic. So like what, like no offense, but what gives you the right to create a presentation? And they're like, I don't know. This is just what I want to say to clients. And I'm like, cool. Talk me through your psychology. What do you mean? I'm like, your psychology of your actual presentation. Like how is it written that way? Like where's your pressure release? Where are you hitting them with emotion and where are you hitting them with logic and how are you backing that up? Because
Bro, nobody
presentations
talks
are
about this. I love this, by the way.
presentations are written for a specific reason. If
Yep.
I'm, for example, like the best one is you guys have probably, if you've ever heard any of my videos, the sham wow, but wait, there's more, right? I talk about that all the time because what people always go, here's the numbers, option one, two, three, which one do you want to do, right? Which one? That's pressure. You've now had a client, now you have a client making a decision based on pressure because when they hear the numbers, their pressure is high. Just like for everybody else here, if you're in a sales position, you're buying a car, whatever you're buying, you hear the numbers, you'll feel the pressure. But I don't want you to make a decision on pressure because pressure, it obviously will explode at one point. So I don't want that. I need to take the pressure and then I need to release it by making it logical. And let me re-explain to you why you're getting this, why it makes sense. Then I'm going to ask you the buying question, which option makes the most sense for you, right? So there's that pressure release. And if you don't have that in your presentation, it's like your presentation might just be pressure. And then you're like, all right, let's do it. Which one? And then you're like, a month later, you're like, they canceled. I'm like, well, yeah, you had nothing but pure pressure on them. You pressured the crap out of them. Yes, you could be assumptive. There's assumptive. You could still do all that, all those things, but you have to make sure logic is the best way to get a sale, right? If you sell based on emotion, it fades, but logic is never, logic is logic. When does that
That's
go
what
away?
everybody says. Life
Yeah,
insurance is an emotional sale. I'm like, no, it's not.
I know it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
Only bad agents say
yeah,
that because you're trying to
yeah,
sell them on an emotion you're trying to create. I'm like, it's a
no,
logic sale, bro. Hey, you die, your family gets $1 million. How's that sound? Cool, awesome.
yeah,
Like, it's not more than that.
yeah.
Let's go through your presentation. Let's pretend I'm an FE client. By the way, for those of you that are wondering, Harold, you reading off a script because your eyes keep moving.
Always, never
Always.
stop.
Okay. $1 million a year producer still reads off a script. So I don't know if you don't sell $1 million, let alone 400,000, I go, why are you not using a script? Not for you to read off of, but even if it's a safety blanket. You know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah.
probably read that script 3,000 times. He knows what it says on there, but it's nice to have
Yep. It's my
because it gives that
GPS.
structure.
Said it on stage. You got to have a GPS.
Yeah. You use
That's
financial
it.
inventory, by the way?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Why would I change that? That doesn't make sense.
Hey, I'm just asking because, sometimes people go, I don't use a financial inventory. And I'm like, wow,
For what? Like, so
bold.
that when you talk to him again later, you're like, oh, hey, Steve, what was it again you had? Like, what medications were you taking again? I forgot. Like, all right, dude, I don't want to do business with you. You don't even remember. You don't even know who I am? Like, get out of here. Yeah, don't do
Oh,
that. You
man.
gotta
I
have
love it.
everything written down. I have everything, even their kids' names. If they tell me their sister, their brother, whatever it is, I take notes on anything they tell me. Why would why take always take notes? Because you're gonna use it later.
Right. So let's dive into it, bro. I'm an FE client.
Mhm.
I'm widowed. Sorry, babe. I know you're on the call. I'm widowed,
Yeah.
so she doesn't have to be
Yeah.
here. Let's rip through it.
So if it's already an appointment, calling you regarding the final expense form you had filled out, requesting information regarding final expense coverage. Um, so again, with that, it's credibility, right? So I'm gonna break it. I'm gonna say what I say, and plus I'm gonna give you the reasons and credibility. You guys good with that?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Introduction. I'm the underwriter that's been assigned your case. I'm the one that's going to be helping you shop through the different carriers, right? So, before we get started, though, just for compliance reasons, I have to be able to identify myself to you properly. I'm going to go ahead and send you a link. This allows me to be able to go over this information with you. Go ahead and click that link. Let me know when you get that. Click it. Okay, great. I'm the pretty one in the photo. Okay, ha ha ha. Hey, my kids are in there as well. Obviously, they look like me. Ha ha ha. And then they have that, and I'm like, great. So you see there that I'm licensed in your respective state. You see I'm licensed in all the different states. This means I've gone through federal background check. Okay, cool. Now, Steve, is this your first time shopping for insurance, or have you done this before?
I've done this before.
Okay, fantastic. So you're very familiar with the process, yeah?
Not really.
Okay. So you've done just
Trying
the
to just get the
shopping?
best rate, man. Yeah.
Okay, got it. What was the result of your shopping? If you've done it before.
I don't know. I feel like everybody's trying to rip me off.
Okay, got it. Do you already have a policy in place?
No.
Okay. So this is going to be something that's brand new to you, a new policy in place?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, got it. So with that, now when it comes to getting a policy in place, like what's most important to you? Is it the amount of coverage or that it meets the budget?
I like a little bit of both.
Okay, good, good,
Because
good.
some of these people are showing me like $10,000 for like 250, and I'm like, I could just save that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. Completely agree with you. So for final
Write
expense
that down. You
coverage,
just agreed with me. Some of y'all want to
yeah,
argue right there.
yeah, yeah. Just to point out too, agree with everything the client says. Okay, maybe even for hey for you guys too, if you have spouses and stuff, just agree. And then what? The conversation stops there. Hey, you did this, you did that. Nope, you're absolutely right. I did. Now what? You have anything else to yell at me about? It's like, but, but no, I agree. You're right. Well, now what? With the client, same thing. If they agree, if you agree with them, there's nothing for them to say anymore. I'm like, yeah, it's all these expensive. No, I completely agree with you. No, I understand. So for final expense coverage, the typical coverage is usually 10, 15, 20, or 25,000. Okay. Now, so what type of leads you guys use? Is it just mailers? You guys do anybody do
FE,
like
digital,
does
FE.
anybody do any transfers or anything like that?
No, they're generating most of them are generating their own leads of some sort. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, one thing that I add in is because I'm sure everybody gets hit on bank. Like I don't have a bank account. Yeah, you guys get that?
Yep.
No bank account or whatever. Okay. Now, Stephen, just to make sure I'm in the correct portal for discounted rates, are you an active member of the military or a veteran?
No.
No. Okay, got it. Are you affiliated with the credit union or a major financial institution like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, etc., or you just have Social Security Direct Express?
Chase.
Chase. Okay, great. What did identify?
Where you can go with carriers.
I know where I'm going. I know you have a bank because I asked you. I just needed to do it a nicer way so that you would answer me.
Absolutely.
So
That's
now
why
I
it's
got
on the financial inventory under qualified discounts for those of you that ask.
now I have my answer. If they said, okay, I only have Social Security Direct Express, okay, got it. When your Social Security comes in, it goes directly to that MasterCard or does it get deposited into a bank account? Oh, it's just going to the Direct Express card? Okay, no problem. Right? Or no, it go actually I have Direct Express, but it also goes into a bank. Okay, got it. Which bank are you affiliated with? Chase. Okay, great. Okay, now when you're going into FEX, guess what? You're not the only person they talk to. They probably talked to a bunch of places. They probably called a bunch of places. Okay. So, Steve, normally when people are looking for rates, they usually call like each and every single carrier individually, one carrier at a time. It's a very tedious task. It's extremely time consuming. It's not fun, right?
No.
Yeah. But the good news is that you called into me or you were talking to me, okay, which I operate very differently. So I'm just an initial underwriter for all the different carriers through the state of California. I'm able to make this process easier for you because I do all the shopping. We don't work directly for any of the carriers. I'm just doing pre-qualification underwriting. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put your information in my tool here, date of birth, medical conditions, coverage amount. Then I'm going to request a rate from all the different carriers, and then they'll compete for your business. And then my job is to give you the best rate and value based on your health and finances. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, great. Does that line sound familiar from the first time we did our call?
Very familiar.
It's the same shit. It's the same thing.
Bro, it's
Okay.
literally what you're saying is literally on my 8 steps of a successful presentation structure.
Yeah.
It's literally the same thing.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So now from here, guess what? You're talking about doing all the shopping and everybody trying to get the best rate and da 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 da. I've already identified that. Hey, what's annoying is you're gonna have to call every single carrier one by one. I'm gonna do it all for you. That's not fun. You're getting all these different rates. It probably takes you hours to do. I can do it all at one time with the push of a button. Every single carrier will pop up for me and tell me whatever the best rate is. Okay. Now, just help me understand the situation a little further. Who's gonna be picking up the pieces when you pass away, Steve? Who's gonna be taking care of your funeral?
My daughter.
Your daughter. Fantastic. Okay, so Steve, just to my understanding, you just want to make sure that your daughter doesn't have to worry about paying for your funeral, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then I'm going to give you an agenda now. Now I'm going to give you an agenda. I understand why you need the coverage, but I need to give you an agenda. My job is simple. I'm going to ask you some health questions to see what you pre-qualify for. Then I'll go over some finance questions. That way we can evaluate your need for the coverage. From there, I'll go over some coverage options that fit within your budget. And the last thing I'm going to do is help you submit an application request for coverage to the carrier. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Now, the goal for today is that we're going to choose an option that's affordable for your budget. The coverage that we coverage and care that we choose is give you the best chances of getting qualified. And then ultimately, I'll make sure you understand what you're covered for, and then I'm going to help you submit that application to the carrier. Is that fair?
Yeah. What does that entail though? I don't want to make a decision today.
Yeah, not a problem. You can't make a decision today, actually. We're just going to see if you can get qualified through the carrier. So right now, we're just going to figure out what's affordable for your budget, which carrier will give you the best chances of getting qualified, and then I'll make sure you completely understand how your coverage works. So that when you pass away, you know what your family's going to know what to do. Okay. And then from there, help you submit the application request for coverage to the carrier. So it's just a request for coverage. It's not that you are covered. We still have to get approved. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But great question though, Steven. Okay. Compliment, tell them they're doing a good job. Great question. I love that question. Here's how that works. Okay. Medical questions. I'm going to go through the medical questions. Hey, with the medical questions, just be as honest as possible. Okay. What this is going to do is going to help me find the absolute best rate for you. And then if there's any additional discounts as well, it'll help me uncover that as well. Is that fair?
Yep.
Great. Then I go through my health and finance, date of birth, nicotine, height, weight, medical conditions, any other medical conditions, major, minor surgeries, what medications you're taking, what are you prescribed and not taking? When was your last medical exam? Any medical conditions that run in your family. Then I go through that medical list. Same joke here too, guys. I always go through this: heart attack, stroke, TIA, stents, diabetes, pain meds, high blood pressure, cholesterol, cancer, asthma, COPD, thyroid, anxiety, depression. And then Steven, do you remember if you have Alzheimer's or dementia?
No.
No. Okay, so you don't remember that you have it?
No, I don't have it.
Okay. Are you sure?
I'm very
Ha
sure.
ha 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 ha. There you go. There's your other ice. I do it every time. You remember if you have Alzheimer's or dementia? And they're like, what? And I'm like, do you remember if you have Alzheimer's dementia? Like, wait, how do I answer that? Like, no, no, you don't remember? Or yes, I do remember I don't have it. I was like, okay, got it. But then I'm going to keep going. Finance questions. Are you currently retired, employed, unemployed, or disabled? Occupation and duties. Are you receiving any Social Security, pension, or survivorship income?
Ooh,
Like
so
you
I
said
like that.
earlier, you
You
bank at
asked health
Chase,
and then
correct?
finance.
Okay, great. Now, it's important to note that even, yes, I do.
Mm.
Yeah, mine's reversed. I know. I saw yours was originally
Well, I was when I was
finance and then
in the
health.
field. Absolutely. Why do you do it that
Because
way?
I don't know, in my opinion, I think it's easier to ask health first.
Fair.
I think it's a lot easier to ask health first. And then once I've gone through health, they're already committed. What are you going to do? Like, stop me
Right.
now? Because if I go into something that's invasive, which is finance, right? Finance in most people's eyes is more invasive than health,
Okay.
right? Why need to know my bank? Why are you asking me about my money? Why are you asking me about? But if it's like, okay, are you a tobacco user or nicotine in any form? That's already something that people know when it comes to insurance, that those are the questions they're going
Right.
to be asked. Okay. You don't go into like life insurance and think like, oh, I don't even know what they're gonna ask me. You already have an idea. If you're searching and looking, you already have that sense,
Right.
right? It's like going to buy a car. You already know they're gonna want to know what type of car you want. Do you want a four door? Do you want an SUV? You already know these things, and you're gonna already go in there and go, all right, I want this and this and this, right? Some of the people that you talk to when you do FEX is what they go, I don't have any medical conditions, or I just have high blood pressure. This is all I got. I've never had a heart attack. I've never had a stroke. And I'm like, dang, oh, so you've done this before. So you know the process, Steve. Fantastic. That makes it a lot easier, and we'll probably get through this way faster. Perfect. You're an expert. You're used to this. And the thing is, too, is that if somebody's already done this before, mention as many times as you possibly can. Okay. Since you've done this before, Steve, we're going to go over the medical questions. Same thing. I know you've done this before. Okay. Hey, I know you've done this before. We're going to go over the finance questions again. Okay. So that when I get to the application, guess what? I know you've done this. If they, what's your social? If they give me any hesitation, I'm like, I know you've done this before, just like how you got your other policy. You have to provide your social, but this is why you need your social. Okay. But I will go through those things, but I use it because who wants to be the guy's like, oh, well, I've never done this before. I was just kidding. Like, what do you mean? You just told me you've done this before. It's a routine. You should already know how works.
Right.
I want them to tell me, oh, I've done this before. Fantastic. That makes it so much easier. Okay. Then I want to get into finance, right? Now that I've got the finance questions. Okay. What's your income? What's your expenses? What does it look like for you? Okay, got it. Now, Steve, it's important to note that even though having a final expense plan is very, very important, okay, you don't want to put yourself in a situation where it takes food off the table or causes you to struggle financially. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. So we are on the same page as far as when it comes to money, right? I want to make sure it fits within your budget. I'm telling you, because I already know what you're gonna tell me. Budget has to fit my budget. Has to be make sense. Okay, cool. I'm on the same page as you. Hey, it's really important, but I don't want to take food off the table or cause any type of financial struggle. Right? Now, next thing. Um, I picked this up from Sean. Sean did a presentation. I don't even know. I saw this video, and Sean had this in his video, and I use it still to this day from forever. Okay. Now, Steve, how familiar are you with the different types of life insurance?
Somewhat familiar.
Okay. I'm going to go over the three main types with you, just a little refresher. Okay, so you have whole life, it's permanent coverage, lasts a lifetime, level death benefit, level premium, which means it never changes. That's the type of coverage that you use for final expense. Okay. Term, term is the one that only covers you for a certain amount of time, and then it expires, and then you no longer have coverage. That's the ones where you see all those ads and stuff, and where it's like $100,000 for very cheap. But the thing is it expires, and then that's it. Your coverage is gone. So it kind of
Right.
defeats the purpose. Yeah, and then accidental, it covers you in the event of a passing due to an accident, like car accident, fell off the roof, hit by a car, even homicide is covered there. Now, based on your health, finances, and current situation, they recommend whole life. Okay. Now, the reason why I want to recommend, I mean, why I explain the different types is because I already know what they're going to say. Well, I saw this commercial. Well, I already addressed it. I already told you this. It's like all those ads that you see where it's a lot of coverage and it's cheap, but then it expires and then you no longer have coverage and then you have
Right.
to reapply again. Yeah, you know, you don't want that. I want them to not want that, right? Term covers you for some amount of years and then it expires and it's done.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, no, I don't want that. And then I throw accidental in there so they understand the different accidental because there are times where I'm going to slap on accidental as well. If it fits within their budget, they're getting it. Okay. So now I've explained the different things and I'm going to tell them, hey, you want to get whole life, right? Now I need to solidify this decision with you, Steve, right? Because hey, they recommend whole life. Now the client's thinking, well, do I want to turn to a whole life? What do I really, and do I even need this now? Like I'm kind of thinking through term, whole life term accidental. Okay, now, Steve, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Okay. Most clients they're looking for day one coverage, just immediate coverage, price that never goes up, coverage that never goes down. And of course, you want a reputable company so that when you pass away, you know it's going to pay to your daughter. Is that the same for you?
Yes.
Fantastic. There's no way for them to say no to
No.
that statement.
Right.
There's nothing they could say there because they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah, I know. It's exactly what I want. Then I need to uncover how much coverage that the client's going to need, right? So, Steve, have you ever had to plan a funeral before?
I have.
Sorry to hear. Very unfortunate. Not fun, right? Now, do you know the average cost of a burial or cremation?
It's like 15, 20 grand.
Yeah, exactly. For yourself, do you plan on having a burial or a cremation?
Plan on getting buried.
Buried. Yeah. Now, the most important thing is covering your final expenses to its entirety. And if the budget allows, you could always leave a little extra behind to your daughter. Okay, so you're going to need at least $15,000 of coverage for your burial, depending on what services your family wants. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yep.
No matter what the client tells me, that's the number I'm running with, unless it's a dumb number, of course. Okay. Have you ever had to plan a funeral? Do you know the average cost of a burial or cremation? And they go 5,000. Well, yeah, if you want a bare minimum cremation, of course, 5,000. Or if Steve says, and I've had clients say this, it's yeah, what's the average cost of a burial? $17,430.38.
Right.
Like, wow, yeah, yes, you've actually had the plan one. That's very
Right.
unfortunate, but yes, that sounds about right. Whatever the number
Aaron, I'm
is
going to
that they
pause you on
tell
this
me,
real
I'm
quick.
running with that number. If they tell,
Here's why I'm saying this. There's 50 of us on this call. I'm willing to bet money for those of you that run FE. Y'all never ask that question because y'all don't.
Mhm.
And like what when you asked me that, you want to know what the first thing I thought about was? My mom.
Yeah,
You're like, hey man, have you ever had to plan a funeral? Yeah, I have actually. Okay, cool. Like how much was it? Dude, the number came in my head. It was like 19 grand. I knew it right off the top. And I was like, oh
hmm
shit. That's how he's gonna write a policy for at least 15 grand in premium because that's exactly what it costs. I gave you that number. I
yep,
supplied you the number. This goes to our training that says ask better questions, get better answers. Y'all don't ask these questions, y'all never get that premium.
right,
That's the difference between someone that sells $1 million a year of insurance versus someone that doesn't ask the
yep.
question. I
It's
love
his
that.
idea. It's his idea, not mine.
Right.
Even if he told me 20,000, I'd be like, yeah, you're absolutely right. 25,000, yeah, you're absolutely right. 30,000, yeah, you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter what the number is. And like I said, unless it's an absurd number, like
Stupid.
yeah,
Right.
3,000, and I'm like, yeah, you could do the bare minimum cremation, and you'll be in a Chinese food to go box with a plastic bag. That's what it looks like with an orange sticker on the top of it. Yes, 3,000 will do it. That is correct. I highly doubt that's what your family wants for you, right? I don't think they're gonna want to see a brown box with just a sticker on it. That's not ideal, right? They're gonna want a proper urn. They want to maybe be in a mausoleum. I'm sure of it, because I wouldn't want to have my family in a to-go box looking like Panera bread. Yeah, no way. Um, but I've identified the number. You've given it to me, and you've told me what you wanted. So now I know where my numbers are going to land. If you told me 15,000, that's where my number is. I'm gonna go 15, 20, and 25. If they told me 20, I'm gonna go 20, 25, and 30, right? I'm gonna use the number that you have provided me, okay? Because well, there's no point in me going lower. You already know what it is. You already know what it is. You told me it was 15 grand. So
Right.
you already know that you need at least 15, right? So again, depending on how now from here, depending on what the client told you earlier about, is this your first time shopping? No, you've done this before. Okay, great. So now I was able to search over 30 different carriers for you. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my toolkit or whatever it is. I right now the Americo that their
Eagle Select.
Eagle Select is fire, one of the best rates. It's almost gonna be the best rate every single time, almost at this point now. So we press a lot of Americo now because of that. I wasn't Americo first, I'll say it, but you could cut that out so I don't get in trouble.
No, you're
But
good.
I wasn't an Americo first agent. I was a whatever's best for the client. But because right now where it stands is it keeps becoming the best for the client based on rate every time. So I'm going to run with that. But for the most part, what I'm going to do every time is I was able to search for over 30 different carriers here. What it looks like here in my tool here, I got Americo, Transamerica, got Mutual of Omaha, American Amicable, Foresters, Liberty Bankers, Corebridge, Aflac, Aetna, CVS Health. I just start listing off things, right? And I go, okay, now, but however, based on what's rounding up at the top, America is going to be the best rate. Now, if you did want to get Mutual of Omaha, you absolutely could. If you really wanted American Amicable Foresters, or even Aetna or Aflac or CVS Health, it's completely up to you. Okay, but rounding at the top is America based on rate. So they're right now they're competing and giving you the best, absolute best rate. Okay. Then from there, I can give them their options. Hey, do you have a pen and paper? Go ahead and grab this. Somebody told me this the other day. I was like, we were role playing this. Like, go ahead and grab pen and paper. And they're like, wait, you asked him to write this down? I'm like, yeah. Wait, you were just gonna give them numbers and think they were gonna hold it in their head? I was like, come on, dude.
And they're old, bro.
Yeah,
Respectfully. They're
yeah,
in their 70s.
yeah. Go ahead and write this down. Let me know when you're ready. Go ahead and grab that pen and paper. Let me know when you're ready. And they're like, okay, I got it. Okay, great. I'm gonna give you three options. So the first one is gonna be option one. Okay, covers you for 25,000. This is gonna be 150 a month. Okay. What this is gonna do is gonna allow your family to be able to have that burial, a proper burial, and then leave any little bit extra behind to your daughter to pay for any final expenses, any medical bills, or any other debts that you leave behind. Okay. So option two is going to be 20,000, same thing. So 20,000, and option three is going to be 15 because you told me 15 was the number, right? So I'm going to work my way down. Same thing. 15 is going to give you make sure that the burial is completely taken care of. But I'm giving them the options and telling them what's going to be left behind. 25,000, leave a little extra behind. 20,000, leave a little bit extra behind to tie any loose ends. And then the 15,000 going to completely cover that burial to make sure it's complete and take care of. Does that make sense? Great. Okay. Now, if I'm doing accidental, all right, I don't know if you guys bundle accidental?
You should.
Anybody? Good? Okay. So now, Steve, option one covers you for 30,000. This is going to be $150 a month. And if you pass away due to an accident, it's an additional 30,000, which brings your total coverage to 60,000. Okay. The reason why they do this is because when you pass away due to an accident, it's unexpected and the family was absolutely not prepared. So what it does is it leaves a lot more behind to the family because they know it's a rough situation at that point because it was so sudden to take care of any medical bills, heaven forbid you're in the hospital, medical bills, any debts or anything like that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, and then option two covers you for 25,000. That's $100. And again, if you pass away due to an accident, it's an additional 25, which brings your total coverage to 50,000. Option three is going to be 20,000. It's going to be $75 a month. If you pass away due to an accident, it's an additional 20,000. It brings your total coverage to 40,000. Okay. Were you able to write those down? Let me
I
know if
did.
you need me to go over any of those again. You did. Okay,
Wrote it
fantastic.
down. Yep.
Now, just to reiterate, okay, how final expense policies work, it's permanent coverage. It never expires. The death benefit is guaranteed to remain level. The premiums are also guaranteed to remain level. The death benefit passes to the beneficiary of your choice, which is your daughter. Okay. It also avoids any probate in court. And then the death benefit is going to be paid to your daughter tax free. Right. Now, Steve, do you understand what you're going to be covered for?
Yes. This is your
Okay.
pressure
Good.
release.
Pressure
Yep.
release. I increased the pressure by giving numbers. And then I said, just to reiterate, let me explain to you how this works. It's permanent, never expires. Death benefit is guaranteed to remain low. Premiums are guaranteed to remain. I'm saying all up with that statement right there. You agree with everything that's there.
Yep.
If I tell you it stays level, the benefit goes to your daughter. It avoids any probate in court, and it's tax free. You're like, oh, yep, that's what I want. Yep, yep, yep. And then I ask him, do you understand what you're going to be covered for? That's
Yes.
a assumptive question, right? Then I'm going to hit them with logic, right? Logic and a little bit of emotion. So now, Steve, this plan will allow your family not to have to make an emotional decision. The worst thing that you would want after you pass away is for your family to have to borrow money, do a fundraiser, max out credit cards, argue with each other to figure out who's going to pay for this and who's going to pay for that. It's not fun. Okay. You don't want your family arguing over finances. Okay. Now your family doesn't have to worry about where that money is coming from to pay for your burial. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the important thing is you want to take care of this when you're younger, you're healthier, and of course, when it's more affordable. Now, keep in mind, Steve, as things change, finances change, okay, you could always add to your coverage later. Okay. You know, like I said earlier, I can only do the initial underwriting. I can't give you the official approval. It's Americo that does make that decision. But if you did get approved, which option do you want to start with?
The 15.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to ask a few more. They're going to have me ask you just a few more medical questions. It take about 5, 10 minutes from here. That's it. Simple.
So let's say you get through the app, or let's say you're going to the app,
Hmm.
right? How do you ask social, date of birth, all that? Like, do you blend that within? Because some people make it awkward as shit. Let's just call it what
Well,
it is,
date of birth I already have. You're going to have that already,
right?
right? Because you already asked that in the beginning. Now, social. Steve, are you a citizen in the United States?
Yes.
Were you born in the United States or in another country?
I was born in the US,
Okay. What state were you born in?
California,
Okay. And then the city that you were born in?
Monterey Park.
Okay, great. And your social?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It's all routine. I asked all these questions that were me questioning your citizenship, where were you born, da da da. It's all routine. Boom, 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 boom. Same every time.
Now let's say the client goes, well, why do you need that?
Oh, it's a great question. The application actually requires it for two reasons. So the carrier is number one going to do a medical records check to verify that all the information that you disclose to me is accurate. Okay, so this is done through the Medical Information Bureau, which is where your medical records they're tied to your social. And then the second thing is this: when you pass away, that death certificate has to match the application in order for the proceeds to pay to your daughter. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great. I use the beneficiary. You want it to pay your daughter, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yep.
Bank account. Why do you need the bank account? Why are you asking me for a bank account? Oh, it's a great question. The application does require it for two reasons. The Patriot Act of 2001, it does require your account to be cross-referenced for money laundering. And then the second thing is because, Stephen, it's illegal for anybody to open a policy on you without your consent. So the name and the address on your account, it has to match the application being sent in. So it's due to a federal law that this information is needed for the qualification process. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So before I even ask for a bank account, I ask him if it matches anyways. I always go, okay, now for the financial institution, you said you use Chase. Um, with your Chase account, on that account, is the name listed Stephen E on there? And is it the same exact address that we have on file?
Yes.
Okay, great. And your routing number there? Well, it looks like here what's populating in my system here based on you said you're in California and you had Chase. Okay. 121 da 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 da. Okay, and then the account number now?
You just
Yeah.
wait.
Yep. And most of the time, like for example, if I say for your financial institution, do you want to use Chase? Oh yeah, also, was that open in the state of California?
Yes.
I don't let them answer that other question. I don't let them answer the first question.
Right.
For your financial institution, do you want to use Chase? Oh, also, real quick, was that open in the state of California? It
Mm.
was. Okay, and then the name on there, Stephen Yee, and then the address is the same as the one where you want all your policy mailed to. Okay,
Yes.
great. Now the routing number that populates in my system is this based on the California. Boom, is that correct? Okay, great. And the account number? It's all that's my there's the assumptive. Okay.
How do you get to the draft date with FE?
hmm For the policy effective date, if approved, did you want to have the coverage start immediately, or do you want to have it start on a specific date? Or if
I
it's
don't get my Social Security for until the 5th, and today's the 10th. So
okay, not a problem. I will still do it. I'm gonna do it. To me, it's funny because people are like, "Why do you do Social Security? You like Social Security?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because I know if
won't
they say the
happen.
fifth, the money comes in on the fifth. This gets drafted at the same time. I know the money's there. I don't have a problem." Somebody would tell me like, "Oh, you like Social Security?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's guaranteed."
They don't
Okay,
miss.
yeah, that makes sense. Like we already know fifth, cool. Draft is the fifth, same time.
Right.
Before they could spend all the money,
Fair. And
it's
that's
already been
exactly what
drafted.
it is.
Yeah. So yeah, before it's drafted. Now the other one was, and I was talking to you about this earlier, right? Which is I don't like to do option one. Okay, I don't like I'll remove it from them if they say, I really want to do option one, and hey, that's not a problem, Steve. I completely understand. But remember, as things change, finances change, you could always add to your coverage later. Hey, you can start with option three, and then next year when we do your policy review, you could exercise your right to increase it to option two or one. Or you know what, you could actually skip that year, and then the following year when we do your review, you can increase it, and we could do that as well, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to start with option three or did you want to do two?
3.
Okay.
So so I love that you ask all these questions because someone asked earlier, and I go, this is where like you're foolish if you don't use a type of CRM. I don't care what CRM, we're not here to promote CRMs, but like use some CRM to jot down the notes. So when you do your annual review call and I go, hey, I'm calling Harold, he got 15, but he low-key wanted 2025. I can ask him that because it's in my notes. If you don't have it in your notes, you're foolish because you just lost that business, right? Um, what do you do when they push back with you? I can save that money, or, oh, like that's a lot. Like, $200 for, you know, 15 grand. That's a lot. Like, what is your rebuttal on those?
So if somebody's saying like, oh, it's a little, I could save that. Oh no, Steve, you're absolutely right. I agree with you. You could, but the real question is, it's time, right? Because if you passed away tomorrow, you wouldn't have had enough time to save that, right? And also, when it comes to savings, is this, you have savings. What was the intention of your savings? Is your like you have account that's labeled as funeral, like for my funeral? Is that what it's for, or was it for retirement?
It's
Is it for you to live off of,
right.
or maybe an emergency, right? So the likelihood of that even being there later might be slim to none,
Bro,
right?
I've been bold and I go, hey, Harold, you can save this, right? Yeah. Hey, how much do you have in your checking account, savings account now?
Like $3,000.
Cool.
Uh,
So it took you 78 years to save 3 grand, and in the next 5 years, you're going to save 20.
yeah,
Like I would say shit
exactly.
like that to clients because
Yeah,
that's true, by the way.
it's true.
Habits are habits.
hmm Exactly. Or if somebody says, I have all this money in my account, and I'm like, oh, fantastic. That makes it easier. What most people do in your same exact situation is they take the $20,000 that you already have, they put it into a policy, and you're paying for it on a monthly basis. Okay. And you'll have a $20,000 policy here plus the 20,000 in your account, but it's slowly going into that policy. Let's say you passed away 5 years from now, you have whatever's left in the account, and then you have a tax-free 20,000. So you actually have more money. That's what most people do in your same situation. And it's tax-free. and it's guaranteed to be there. That 20,000 you have in there, it's not guaranteed to be there. Might disappear due to you're one emergency away from it disappearing.
Yep. I love it, bro. Hey, I know we went over, and for those of you that have somewhere to be, go ahead. For me, I go, dude, how often do you get to hear a $1 million a year producer's actual script? Because I know everybody wants to hear it and actually share it with you and then explain the psychology behind it. Like, this is worth the admission alone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the reason why we have these calls, by the way. So I hope you guys are getting value from it. And Harold, I appreciate you and thank you for this because I know you don't
Yeah.
have to. Um, as we wrap up, bro, do you have any other um, nuggets, tips, one percenters, before we close out?
Yeah, I mean, organization is the number one thing, right? If you're seeing a lot of people, then you need to be organized. If you're seeing like 5 people a week, you can do that on binder paper. So you have to be organized, right? If you want to write a lot of business, you want to see a lot of clients, you have to be organized. You have to have a place where you have everything, where you're able to see your client's information. I need to be able to pull it up like that. I cannot be like, Steve, hmm, which Steve is this? Like,
Hey, wait,
yeah,
wait,
that's
wait. The
bad.
best ones?
That's
The
bad.
best ones. Harold, what kind of policy do you have with me again?
Yeah,
Oh my God, shoot yourself. Please don't do that.
yeah,
Please don't do that. Just
yeah.
don't answer the call at that point.
Or even like just picking it up, like, yo, what's up? And you're like, what's up? Like, dude, yo,
Oh
right?
my
It's like, yo, what's
God.
up? Yo, this is
Yeah.
Steve. Steve, Steve who? Steve,
Yeah.
which one? And you're like, that's why you gotta be organized. Save your clients' phone numbers. They call me, I have their name, it pops up. My notes, I can pull up my files. I'll send you that app that we have. I'll send it to you, Steve. You can see it. But all that stuff has to be organized. You have to know your numbers. Your numbers tell you how much leads you need to buy. If you don't have your KPIs, you're out of it. You're losing. You're just guessing. You need to know how many leads you have. You need to know how many people you're calling. You need to know how many people you actually talk to. How many of them turn into to an appointment? How many appointments you have, and how many of them they turn into an actual sit? And then how many of them you sell?
Right.
Then your AP. You need to know those numbers because it dictates exactly how much you need to spend on the business. Okay. So if you know your AP per sale is this, great. If you know this is your AP um per appointment, AP per phone call, AP per lead, you already have all the numbers. You know exactly if it's like, okay, I need to, if I need to write X amount of dollars, I know my AP per phone call is this. So that means I need to get, 1,000 leads if that's what I want to write. If it's $5 AP per lead, then I need to get 1,000 leads if I want to write 5,000. You know exactly what you're doing. That's your map. That's your guide. If you don't have it, what are you doing? You're just guessing every week. You know what? I think I'll do like 500 leads this week. Maybe like, you know what? Let's do 645 leads. Let's see what that does. That doesn't help you. Doesn't do anything. Know your numbers, stay organized, and then you'll be fine because it's scale. There's no emotion. You know what you want to know what the most emotional thing is in this business? Okay? And I'll tell everybody this. Pressing that buy button on leads, the absolute most emotional thing for agents.
That's what stops people from being top
How,
agents.
however, if it is based on logic, numbers, data, it can no longer be emotion because the data tells you you need 1,000 leads, not based on, oh God, I gotta press this button. Oh God, oh, slipped. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. No, data tells me I need to buy 1,000 leads if I want to write this many policies. Fantastic. Click the button, tells me that's what I'm gonna write. And then you just keep following your data, keep following your data, following your data. Later on, guess what? Your close ratio goes up. Now the amount of leads that you need to get, it might go less, but you still buy the same amount so you can write more. All you do is scale. If you're already there, just keep scaling. Boom, 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 boom. Keep doing the same thing over and again and scale it up. Whatever got you to where you are, press the button harder or identify. Again, when I was talking to the new agents, I'm like, do you know your numbers? Yeah. Okay, cool. What are you selling? I think it was like 1 out of 5 or something like that. And I was like, yeah, you have a closing problem. That's it. Nothing else. But if you know your numbers, you can identify that right away. You don't have to wait to figure it out. You don't have to have somebody like me tell you, oh, well, your closing ratio is, it's your closing ratio. You could have already known that by knowing your numbers. Simple. You
Right.
can identify it before the problem exists. Or again, you're starting to see the trend and you go, okay, all right, I'm starting to not close as much. Steve, need you. I need to know what's
See,
going on.
that's the thing. If you don't inspect what you expect and you don't track, you don't know. So you don't know when to ask for help or not. And a lot of problems is most people have an ego, they won't ask for help. And that's how they fade out of the business. I always
Hmm.
tell people like people
Hmm.
don't quit FFL. They don't fail FFL. They prematurely quit because they didn't learn quick enough to be able to make a buck, right? Like
Yep.
that's what happens. Like this stuff is too easy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know we went over by 15, bro, but I appreciate
Kill
you. I know there's
yourself.
some
Yeah.
questions that people have, but we'll
Yeah.
get you back on another call. I promise you that. And if
Hmm.
there's anything that, Josh, Laundry, myself can help you with, please let
Yep.
us know. Because we're always here to pay it forward, bro. I appreciate you, Harold. Thank you. And if y'all actually got something great from this, please go
Absolutely.
message him, post a picture on him on Instagram, and follow Harold, do all that good stuff because, dude, this is so valuable. This is worth more than some other companies charge for, by the way, just letting y'all know. So, Harold, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate you guys.
have a great one, guys. Be safe.